So it's nice to be back here, refreshed and ready to spark new conversations with y'all. Today, we are talking about why it is so important to stay consistent with your eating protocol when you have an autoimmune disease. Um, we often hear the 80-20 rule, the weekend warrior rule, the every rule for a cheat meal when you're losing weight or on an anti-inflammatory diet. And we kind of want to like nip that in the bud today. So we're going to go over why it is so important to stay 100% consistent when you have an autoimmune disease. Before that, though, if you are new to our community, we want to introduce ourselves. So my name is Casey Kephart. I'm a functional medicine nutritionist and CEO of the Feel Good Formula. I work with women with all different types of autoimmune diseases to get you back to the activities you love, trash your symptoms, get your life back, basically. And I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the sun always shines. Wow, I cannot talk today. Jessica, please take it.
Just, that transition from holidays back into like regular life.
Oh my God, that was a struggle.
It just takes one try. You'll get back to it. And I'm Jessica Melnick. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Anti-Arthritis Method, and the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group. And I help both women and men with various forms of arthritis get back to living life the way that you choose to, not the way that you have to. And I live in Saskatchewan, Canada, where the sun is thankfully shining today. And it's actually not super cold. So it's actually quite a nice, mild, sunny winter day. So not like Florida, but pretty good for this time of year. So I can't complain.
Awesome. What a good weather day to start off this Monday, Tuesday we have going for us. So we do have a couple viewers right now. Put in the comments on where you are watching from because we just shared our weather. So what's it like over there by you? But when those comments start coming in, we will be talking about why it's important to stay consistent with your eating. So what Jessica and I do for our businesses is we teach you how to eat with having an autoimmune disease, and we teach you how to feel better on a eating protocol, but also what lifestyle factors need to be implemented to change your symptoms in your life drastically. So we want to kind of go over the eating portion of this with eating with an autoimmune disease. Because it's not like eating for any other type of lifestyle or diet. You always hear about keto or anti-inflammatory or Mediterranean diet or low fat or just a weight loss diet in general. And we all have rules and stipulations around it, right? The main one that we have probably all heard is the 80-20 rule. Eat good 80% of the time, and then you have your cheat meals or your lenient meals 20% of the time. And sometimes that means eating good Monday through Friday, and then doing what you want to on the weekends, or any other variation of that. With an autoimmune disease, we don't have that luxury, unfortunately. I can tell you that if I did the 80-20 rule, I would be not having my autoimmune disease in remission. I would be having more autoimmune flare-ups. I would feel sick and tired more than I already do. So we need to be more strict, 95 to 100% strict, more than these other, generally healthy population does. And we'll get into why that is just in a little bit. So, Jessica, do you have anything to say on that or want to keep going with it?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to reiterate that point of it's that whole moderation thing, where it's like, oh, everything in moderation. And yes, that does work for some people, but when you are struggling with arthritis or an active autoimmune condition, there is no moderation that's going to really work to get your symptoms under control or gone. you have to be very consistent and very strict initially in order to get yourself back on track. And then, of course, as Casey and I teach our clients within our programs how to gradually expand our diet and what we can eat over time, so that you're not eating a super strict diet forever, but that you're finding out what foods that you can eat that are going to support your health and keep your symptoms away. So like Casey said, it's very different than eating like the regular anti-inflammatory diet, and I've used quotation marks because it's such a varied definition. And it's not like a weight loss diet where it's like, oh yeah, well, I was good for 5 days and now I'm going to go and, order a big fast food meal and whatever, treat myself. It doesn't work that way. So yes.
Exactly. And just having celiac disease, if I were to implement the 80-20 rule to having celiac disease, I would be sick beyond belief and probably on disability because my body couldn't recover from the constant gluten attacks that I would be having. It's the same thing if, let's say that tomatoes really cause a flare in your joint pain. Let's say you eat tomatoes once a week just because you love tomato sauce or whatever it is for you. You're still going to have that constant attack on your joints, your constant attack on inflammation, constant attack on your leaky gut, whether you feel those symptoms or not. So we need, like Jessica said, we have an elimination diet, and then we reintroduce foods to have a more variety diet. We need that time in that elimination process to have your system rest and digest and heal. We can't keep implementing and feeding our bodies of this inflammation of that food that your body doesn't like, because your system now has no time to settle down. Again, whether you're feeling those symptoms or not. And your body will tell you, but sometimes it won't. And then all of a sudden it will tell you because you hit that threshold like we've talked about before. It's like you constantly just keep filling your cup until it just overflows, and here's the floodgates that opened. So I know that was a long way of just saying, stop the 80-20 rule, stop the moderation and the I'm just going to have a cheat meal thing, because you're making yourself worse for you. So then how do we normalize eating this way? That's a lot to ask, right? It's a lot to say, no, having an autoimmune disease, you need to be 100% strict. How do you wrap your brain around that? Jessica, do you want to, what are some examples or tips that you have for that?
I think this is the biggest hurdle to get over for anybody, because food is such a huge part of like our culture, our socializing, our comfort, emotional eating is a thing for a lot of people. I would say, I would venture to say most people, we all have things that we turn to that are comforting. And it's a completely new way of, having to change our mindset and how we look at food and how we look at our lifestyle. And I know Casey and I, we both acknowledge that it's not an easy thing to do, at least initially.
Yeah.
And that's why we offer the programs that we have, so that we have a ton of support for our clients to work through this mindset shift in their diet and their lifestyle. Because yes, it is going to be different than you're typically used to. And it's going to take some adjusting. And it is changing how you think about it, not thinking about it as, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that, this is so awful, this is so depriving. It's saying, okay, I am doing this for myself as an act of self-love and self-care and healing, and looking at it in a very positive light and focusing on what you can have. Because trust me, there's tons of delicious things that you can still eat while you're, dealing with arthritis or an autoimmune condition that maybe you'd be surprised. I know a lot of people think, oh, it's just going to be like low fat, flavorless, and all this stuff. Not the case. There's tons of really delicious things that you can have. And it's like just exploring and learning all of these new things that you're probably going to try that you haven't tried before that you can have and that are going to support your healing and are going to reduce your pain and your symptoms. So it's shifting that mindset to, oh, this sucks. How am I going to white knuckle my way through this with like the sheer force of willpower, to, this is a really positive lifestyle that is going to allow me to feel good and do the things that I want to do and live my life the way that I want to live.
Right. It's that future thinking, but also thinking about your why. Why are you doing this in the first place? That is that great mindset shift, because in general, in the food world, it is all mindset. But anything in life is all mindset. You need to callous your brain to be able to wrap your head around your goals and how to do it and achieve them, basically. Another thing can be take it day by day. And that's kind of what Jessica was saying too, is um, just worry about today. Worry about your eating today. Say to yourself, I am going to follow the protocol 100% today. Make that your affirmation every single day. And before you know it, you're 7 days in, you're 14 days in, you're 30 days in, and now you can start reintroducing foods again. And along that way, it will be easier because you're feeling better, right? It's that initial week to 2 weeks that it's like, oh my gosh, like this is hard work. And that's where that mindset comes in. But another thing is keeping a journal. I'm very big into writing and journaling. And if you keep a journal of your wins each day and then start reflecting back on them, you'll start to see that there are positive shifts happening here. Even if you feel those appetite lulls or highs or those sugar cravings or whatever you're feeling, you're going to look back on yesterday or 4 days ago and say like, oh, I felt this, or my joint pain was a little better. Actually, it is a little better. I forgot what it felt like last week, or I'm sleeping better, or, just reflecting on all of these big wins, because every day is a big win. Every day is I ate more broccoli than yesterday. Like that's a huge win for a 2-year-old, but also for a 52-year-old. So that never goes away. um, so journaling is also a huge one to wrap your brain around this.
And I wanted to add too, Casey, I think understanding some of the science behind why the moderation 80-20 thing doesn't work when you have arthritis or an autoimmune condition. And because I know for me, I'm kind of like, if someone's telling me to do something, I want to know why and that it actually works and how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know we're going to get into that too, because I think it's absolutely key to stick to something, especially if you're not immediately feeling better. It's kind of like sticking to a weight loss diet when you haven't lost 10 pounds in 3 days. It's kind of keeping that faith and understanding that, yes, it's going to work, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you want to get into that now that you just mentioned that?
Yeah. So, in terms of some of the science behind this, and join in anytime you want to, Casey, is that when we are eating foods that are causing inflammation in our body, it takes time for our body to stop freaking out, essentially, and to stop attacking our body's own tissues in the case of autoimmunity. So we need to eliminate everything that could be potentially causing these problems for a period of time in order for our body to stop producing these antibodies and for our immune system to stop attacking our body's own tissues. And this takes time. Sometimes it takes 30 days for a certain, I'm just going to say food for simplicity's sake, to get out of our system and for our body to stop reacting to it. And so that's why it's so important that we're not continuing to even just be like, oh, well, I'm just going to have like a half a piece of bread instead of like a whole sandwich today. Well, you know what? Maybe you didn't have bread for a week, but then you just had a piece of glutinous bread or half a piece, and your body's attacking your tissues again. So we need to completely get that out of there, and so that our body can calm down, our immune system can calm down and stop attacking our body's tissues, which results in our painful symptoms. And this takes time. That's kind of my simplified way of explaining things. I know there's a lot more science behind that, but that's the way I understand it.
Yeah, exactly. So when we are inflamed from eating that certain food, our body's number one priority is getting that inflammation down. That's all it's like survival mode at that point. But if we stop eating that food and stop implementing the 80/20 rule, or the half a slice bread rule, other than the full slice bread rule, when we totally eliminate these foods, whether that is 30 days, 90 days, whatever, how long it takes for you, um, then our bodies can start focusing on healing, and it's not in survival mode anymore of attack, 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 put out the fire, put out the fire, put out the fire. It's okay, I'm calmer now. I can work on mending this gut lining. I can work on balancing my hormones now. I can work on balancing the immune system and like do this repair work. Our body is like a construction slash firefighter and paramedics, like, and nurses all in one. It is all of these healthcare uh, survival team put together, and we all have list of priorities. First thing first, you need to put out the house fire. Then you need to I don't know. I'm not a firefighter, but you need to put out the fire first, and then we can work on rebuilding the house, right? That's what our body's doing. So that's why the 80/20 rule does not work in autoimmune disease. It could work in weight loss. We've seen it work in weight loss, but you're still adding inflammation. So I hope that helps kind of understand the why here. The second part would be, now let's get our mentality around the shift and start normalizing the 100%, going all in, putting all of your marbles in this basket. Because one, it's free. We're not in the hospital yet. We don't have to, get, I don't know, on an IV. I'm on a tangent now, but like, this is the least invasive step you can have in your autoimmune disease process, is changing your diet. So why not go all in on it and see if it will help you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we covered a few of the things, a way to start, like you said, Casey, taking baby steps, one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We can do anything for one day. And I know for myself, I do thought work. And so thought work is something that certified life coaches use, and I find it really helpful. It's similar to what would be cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's a way of basically looking at your thoughts and your behaviors so that you can change your behaviors by changing your thoughts. And so, for example, I love to have a glass of wine in the evening, but guess what? I am currently at the tail end of a flare up, that first flare up that I've had in over 3 years, because I was doing the 80/20 for too long and my body got angry with me, and now I'm paying the price. So now I need to do what I teach my clients and go back to the basics and be strict so that I can calm my immune system down so it stops attacking my joints, and so that my hands and my wrists and the hips are working like they're supposed to, so I can resume the type of lifestyle that I enjoy, which includes being physically active and having energy, and it just being able to use my hands and my body and not be restricted by that. So not struggling to clean the house or wash my hair or cook and all these other things that you take for granted until your body decides it does not want to work for you. So I need to work on, okay, so when I want this glass of wine, which I am not going to have because I need to work on repairing my gut and calming my immune system down, I need to change my thinking about this. I cannot be thinking things like, oh, wow, woe is me. I can't have my wine. Why does everybody else be able to do this and I can't? I have to think to myself, I am not having wine. I'm going to have tea instead. And this is going to help me relax. And I'm also doing this as an act of kindness and caring and love for myself. I'm taking care of my body. And so that I, in time, am going to be able to get back to my regular activities and the lifestyle that I enjoy because I'm not going to be in pain. So it's more involved than that, but I think you get the gist. So it's, switching some of those negative thoughts for more neutral or positive thoughts that you can get on board with so that you can stick to your goals and, stick to your diet over time so that you can feel better. And my why is being able to feel really good again so that in February, when I go to Palm Springs, I can go hike in the canyons for hours on end and feel great and be able to do that with no problem.
Yeah, exactly. I love that real life example too. I get that way when I do really bad on vacation and then I come home and I have to clean up the mess, and we all have to go back to those basics. So we are not perfect either. We've just had to do this so many freaking times that we are experts on it now. And we know that mindset shift that we need to have, and we're able to teach on it, and nobody is perfect. So, another baby step though is building your community of people around you that are doing the same thing as you. Because when you do this 100% all in, all your marbles are in one basket kind of thing, it can feel really lonely. It can feel very, very strict and structured. And some people don't like strict and structured and routine. And so it helps being able to vent to somebody, to ask questions, to comment, to provide thoughts, to help other people can help you too. So finding and building a community of people like you going through the same thing with your autoimmune disease, whether that's your specific autoimmune disease or just having an autoimmune disease in general, can really, really help. So that's what Jessica and I do each and every day. We build these communities for us, but also for our clients and our potential clients, so we can all benefit from each other's knowledge and pros and cons and do's and don'ts and experiences. So I know we've gotten really great feedback from our communities, and it does help us, and vice versa. So there are so many Facebook communities out there. There are so many in-person communities. There are so many educators out there besides just Jessica and I that are doing this. So find what works for you.
Absolutely. So reach out to us if this is something that you're ready to do and you'd like some professional support and have a community of people who are doing the exact same thing surrounding you. My clients always tell me that's one of their favorite things about the program is our weekly calls that we do together where we encourage each other. They can learn from each other's mistakes and each other's wins as well. So it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of great times on those calls, and it's so helpful to just know that you are not alone.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think we froze there for a little bit, but I think I'm back. I think that's all we had for today, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. In a nutshell.
We froze again.
I can see you okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening, and we will be back next week.
Bye, everybody.